Hi there. We're talking about the kind of documents that you use in the course of this. It's focused more on administration. If you've not watched the diagnostics video, watch that first, and that'll give you an idea for the process. But we're focused more on the documents today. So usually you have a day-to-day documents folder if you're connected on Dropbox, and you can go into draft or documents. Now, the one that you use first as you go through the process, so the client, well, first of all, if the client's not received a summons yet, if there are no problem, you put them through the debt review thing, or you often do, but you can listen to the debt counselling videos for that, watch them. But if they've already got a summons, the first thing you'll usually do is use the notice of intention to defend or oppose. Here they are here. It doesn't matter which bank it is or who it is. You just quickly change this, the address of the property, the email address of the client, the heading, which you usually get from the summons, and you'll do that. For a summons, by the way, it's a notice of intention to defend. If it's a notice of motion and a founding affidavit they've received, then you do a notice of intention to oppose, but it doesn't really matter too much. So that's the one to normally use. We sometimes use this discovery application as well at the same time as a notice of intention to defend to ask for securitization registers and stuff, but not that often. Right, so if we're past that stage, or after 2 or 3 weeks after the notice of intention to defend or oppose, normally what will happen if it's a summons is instead of letting you plead and file a plea to the summons, which kind of is what should happen, they'll make an application for summary judgment. The summary judgment down here. So they'll say, we think you're just opposing for the sake of gaining time. You don't really have a case, so let's make an application for summary judgment. So you'll never actually defend with a plea. You'll rather defend against summary judgment. Right, so you go in here. We've got two different summary judgments. One for ABSA with the fire story, and one for everyone else apart from ABSA without the fire story. So, and again, you don't really change that much. You just go in here, you put in the heading at the top, you put in the client's name, and that's it. Everything else, or the bank here, and then everything else is already done. Now, with an answering affidavit, you would normally have to answer the things one at a time, and you might sometimes have to do that. But here, what we've argued is that everything that we want to say is actually not in the point by point thing. It's we include it all at the top, so we don't go through their points and answer them one by one. So that's for opposing summary judgment. Then the other thing that can happen is that there's already a judgment against them. So say there's already a judgment against them. Then what we'll do is we'll try and rescind that judgment. So a rescission is we are now starting the process. When we were responding to summary judgment, we didn't need a notice of motion because they were bringing an application, a founding affidavit and a notice of motion. We only had to put in an answering affidavit. But here with the rescission, we're actually starting the process. We are saying we want to overturn this default judgment you've got. So we're starting this. So we put in a notice of motion and a rescission, whichever rescission we use. When they've got a judgment against them, you use the one for ABSA or you use the one for all the banks. I'm just going to rename that. All banks except ABSA. So you'll do a notice of motion, you'll do the founding affidavit, which is this rescission, or if you're trying to rescind an eviction order, you'll use this one. Okay, and you'll need a notice of motion in any case. There should actually be a second notice. I'm going to change this so it's a notice of motion rescission for the main judgment when they've got a default judgment against you, and notice of motion eviction, rescission of eviction order when you're trying to rescind that. And then this is a case that you can send to people that just says that if you've got a rescission pending, they can't execute. And then there's a letter you can give to the registrar, etc., telling them that they can't execute. The other thing that might happen is there may be that we've already tried that, or there might be some other reason, but what can sometimes happen is they get judgment, but they don't get execution. So, in other words, they go to court and the court says, yes, here's a judgment to say that you do owe ABSA 526,000 Rand, but we're not yet giving the bank the right to sell your house. That's what execution is, the right to sell your house. We're not doing it yet. So the bank then comes later when there's more arrears and then says, now can you give us the judgment? And we say, no, you shouldn't get it. And this is what this is, execution notice of motion. And this is actually one that we would use in the magistrate's court to stall that execution. So that's a separate procedure that we bring to try and change. That's a new one that we haven't, at the time of writing, used much yet. If the opposing party is simply filed saying they want to resist the eviction, if they are saying that they've got judgment but now they want execution, they want to, then you use answering affidavit where execution is sought after judgment is already given. So that's what you use there. And then, so that's pretty self-explanatory. And then when they're trying to evict you, so they're bringing an application for eviction, but they haven't got that yet. They've got an order for judgment. They've probably got an order for execution against the house, but now they're trying to evict you from the house. It's a separate thing. Then this is how you answering affidavit resisting eviction is there. And then if we want to stay the execution, so we actually want to apply and stay the sale, interdict the sale, then here is the notice of motion to stop the sale, and here's the notice of motion to stop the sale when there's a liquidator involved. So it's a liquidation as well. Okay. So let's leave that there for now, and then we'll go on to part 2 in a minute.